صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين باعث الأنبياء والمرسلين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين شفيع المذنبين رحمة للعالمين مولانا وسيدنا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين، لا سيما بقية الله في الأرض مولانا حجة ابن الحسن عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. اللهم صل على محمد ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد, my respected elders, brothers and sisters, tonight we are commemorating the Shahadat of one of the outstanding personalities of Ahlul-bayt alayhimus salam. This is the lady Janab Fatima, Bibi Fatima Masuma of Qum, daughter of Imam Musa Kazim, sister of Imam Ali al-Ridha alayhimus salatu was salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. She's a personality that unfortunately we don't maybe know much about her, or we don't spend much time on discussing her life. The fact of the matter is that, like all of the ladies of Ahlul-bayt, of course the ladies of Ahlul-bayt were not in the public eye so much, so we don't actually have so much information about them. People say, why don't we know more about Bibi Kulthum or Bibi Zainab even before Karbala? Well, the answer is simple: because they were not in the public eye. They were not freely being observed and their lives were not being recorded, for example. So whatever small amount of history we have, inshallah, we will expand upon tonight, especially drawing attention to one thing, and that is the speciality of the holy city of Qum as well. Not only is the personality very important, but also the place where she is buried, and today it is a place of learning, and you can say the center of Shiaism in the world today is this holy city of Qum. Qum has its own speciality, which we'll just touch upon, but it's a very long subject. So two hadiths to start us off, one from the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa Muhammad. The Holy Prophet says, "Satudfanu bad'atum minni bi Khurasan." Very soon, a part of me, bad'atun minni. The same words used in the famous hadith that the Holy Prophet has for his daughter, Bibi Fatima. He says, "Fatima tu bad'atun minni." Fatima is a part of me. Here again, he's using the same kind of language for Bibi Fatima Masuma, Bibi Masuma Yakum. He says, soon there will be a part of me that will be buried, satudfanu, buried bi Khurasan, in the land that is known as Khurasan. Today it is known as Iran. Other names for it are Tus, Khurasan, etc. There will be a part of me that will be buried in Khurasan. Ma zaraha makrubun. Ma zaraha makrubun. Do I have your attention, please, Azizan Girami? Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. There will be no afflicted person. There will be no one suffering from some kind of calamity or sadness or this kind of thing. Illa naffasallahu azza wa jalla karbahu. Except that Allah will remove that person's sadness and calamity. No ghamgeen, no one who with any kind of sadness and calamity in their life will do the ziyarat of Bibi Masuma, except that Allah will remove that sadness from their heart. Wala mudhnibun, and even more than that, no sinner shall perform the ziyarat of Bibi Masuma illa ghafarallahu lahu dhunubahu, except that Allah will forgive his sins. So immediately the Holy Prophet is telling us that this great lady's ziyarat has two very special qualities. Number one, it gets rid of one's sadness and gham and that kind of feeling. And number two, it forgives one's sins. Second hadith from Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Let's have another loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now this hadith from Imam Sadiq, it highlights the speciality of the city of Qum as well. He says, Inna lillahi haraman. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a haram. Haram means what? Sanctuary, safe place, a place like devoted to Him. Okay? Inna lillahi haraman. Allah has a haram. Wa huwa Makkah. And that is Makkah. Okay, the holy city of Makkah, the haram of Allah. Rasulullah, the Holy Prophet, also has a haram, a place dedicated to him. What is that? That is Medina. Amirul Mu'mineen has a haram for himself, has a haram. What is that haram? It is Kufa. So these are the three famous cities, Makkah, Medina, Kufa. And then sixth Imam says, Allah wa inna kum. As for Qum, al-Kufatu saghira. It is the mini version of Kufa. The way Kufa was a stronghold and a place of sanctuary and a place of speciality for Amirul Mu'mineen, Qum now is a smaller version of that. Allah inna lil jannati thamaniyata abwab. This is amazing. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says that for heaven there are 8 doors. 8 doors lead to heaven. Thalathatum minha ila Qum. 3 of them open from the holy city of Qum. 3 of them open from the holy city of Qum. Tuqbadu fiha imra'atum min wuldi. Look at the words Imam Sadiq is using. Soon there will be a lady, a woman from my progeny, from my lineage. Ismuha Fatima bint Musa. Her name will be Fatima, daughter of Musa, meaning Musa Kazim alayhi salam. Wa tudkhalu bi shafa'atiha shi'ati al-jannah bi ajma'ihim. All my Shias will enter into heaven because of her shafa'at and intercession. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So her position, her speciality is very, very immense. We pray for the tawfiq to do her ziyarat and to receive her shafa'at. In fact, even in her ziyarat, we do have this line, Ya Fatima tushfa'ili fil jannah. Oh Fatima, meaning Fatima Masuma, ishfa'ili, do my shafa'at so that I enter into heaven. Now, regarding her history, one thing we have to clarify very, very straight away is that there is a common misconception in the community. You will see it in people's thoughts, you will hear it in our marsiyas, you will hear it in our nohas as well. We tend to make this mistake regarding Imam Raza and Bibi Masuma because we take the example of Imam Hussein and Bibi Zainab, and what we say is that Imam Hussein alayhi salam was killed first, and then after his shahadat, Bibi Zainab mourned for him. That is 100% true. Then we apply that same thing to Bibi Masuma and Imam Raza. What we say is we think Imam Raza was killed first, then Bibi Masuma, in the gham and in the sorrow of her brother, she then died. Wrong. This is not true. The chronology is not like that. The chronology is that Bibi Masuma passed away first, and then 2 years later, Imam Raza alayhi salam was shaheed. So for example, all our nohas and marsiyas, they're very beautiful, they're very touching, emotional, I agree, but the chronology does not support that. The chronology says, Bibi Masuma passed away first, Imam Raza alayhi salam passed away 2 years after her. So there should not be this misconception that somehow he was killed and then, in the gham and in the sorg of the brother, the sister then died. No. So Imam Raza was born in 148 after Hijri. Bibi Masuma is born in 173 after Hijri. There's a 25-year difference between Imam Raza alayhi salam and Bibi Masuma. 25 years, he was her senior. Bibi Masuma passes away in 201 AH. Imam Raza in 203 AH. 2 years difference. Another thing is that the title Masuma, right now, very few people, they would know that her real name is Fatima. Actually, her name was Fatima, named after Bibi Fatima to Zahra, salamullahi alayha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And her title is Masuma, given to her by the 8th Imam after her death. She was never addressed by that title during her life. During her life, her name was Fatima. Masuma is a title conferred upon her by Imam Raza alayhi salam after she is killed. She was only 10 years old at the time of the Shahadat of 7th Imam, her father, and this is her brief history. Imam, 7th Imam, Imam Musa Kazim alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. As you know, was given the most harsh treatment by the Bani Abbas Khulafa. It started when? It started when Imam was in Medina and Harun al-Rashid, the one that some Muslims call the reviver of Islam. We don't say that for him. We say he was a very, very corrupt individual responsible for the murder of at least Imam Musa Kazim, if not more people. Harun Rashid visits Medina. Harun Rashid is from Bani Abbas. Who was Bani Abbas? Bani Abbas are those people who trace their lineage through Abbas, uncle of the Holy Prophet. Uncle of the Holy Prophet, his name was Abbas. His lineage is known as Bani Abbas. So when Bani Abbas take the power from Bani Umayyah, their claim to fame is that we are from Bani Hashim, which is true. They are from Bani Hashim. They are from the Bani Hashim. They are from the children of Hashim. But they never fulfilled that promise, which was that we want to return the power to Ahlul-bayt. That was completely false. They just used that as a slogan to take the power. So Harun comes along. He enters into Masjidul Haram. He sees the grave of the Holy Prophet. He says, Assalamu alayka yabna am. In a very loud voice, he says, Salam upon you, O child of my uncle. In other words, my cousin. My cousin. Yeah? So what is he trying to do? He's trying to impress people that, look, I'm so close to the Holy Prophet. I'm one of the cousins of the Holy Prophet. He's my relative. I'm related to him. Imam Musa Kazim walks in and says, Assalamu alayka ya abata. Salam upon you, O my grandfather or my father. In other words, here Imam Musa Kazim is just addressing the Holy Prophet as he should address him. But this was very embarrassing for Harun. He comes in with all his pomp and glory, trying to show that, look, I'm so close to the Prophet. Imam Musa Kazim shows that actually, if anyone is close to the Prophet, it's me. He's my father. He's equal to my father. He's my grandfather. This infuriates Harun and it embarrasses him. So these petty-minded individuals like Harun, what does he do? He says, we need to get this man out of here. Take Musa Kazim and bring him over to Iraq, get him away from Medina. I don't want all this stuff, people to know that, he's closer, and I don't want him to spread these things, and this is embarrassing for me. So he's arrested and he's taken, and as you know then, he's put in prison after prison after prison, to such an extent that some of the stories of the imprisonment of Imam Musa Kazim are so horrific. I would say honestly, after Imam Hussein alayhi salam, the heart breaks for Imam Musa Kazim. After the mazlumiyat that you hear of Imam Hussein, the physical mazlumiyat of Imam Musa Kazim really breaks the heart. On one occasion, he's imprisoned, and someone visits that prison. The jailer of the time, I think his name was Fadl, if I'm not mistaken. This Fadl, he takes that person who's visiting, he says, look inside this cell, what do you see? He says, I don't see anything, I just see there's a white cloth on the floor, like a cloth on the floor has been put. He said, that is not a cloth on the floor, that is Musa ibn Ja'far. That is how weak and thin and malnourished he is, that you think it's just a cloth on the floor. And this is what he does. He does ibadat all night, he fasts during the day. Imam Musa Kazim transferred from prison to prison to prison. Finally, he is murdered, he's killed, he's made shaheed. From the moment that he is taken away from Medina until his shahadat, Bibi Masuma never sees her father again. So she is separated from her father from the moment he's taken from Medina, and then she never sees him again. So who then is her father figure? Imam Ali ibn Musa Rida alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad Imam Rida effectively becomes her father figure, her guardian, her protector, her brother. He was anyway. All of these roles, Imam Raza performs for his sister. She is now 10. He is now 35. So he played that guardian role for his younger sister. Harun goes, Mamun comes. The father goes, the son comes. One corrupt goes, another corrupt comes. Mamun comes to power. Now his idea is different. He says, now I don't want to do what my fathers and forefathers did, which is take the Imams by force. I will do a cunning plan. I'll make it look like it's Imam's choice. It wasn't Imam Raza's choice, but he made it look like that. Imam Raza alayhi salam is now taken away from Medina again. Imam Raza alayhi salam is taken over to the new capital, which was Marv. Now in Marv, as he's taken through the lands, Mamun says, do not take Imam Raza alayhi salam through the Shia strongholds. So in that time, there were already pockets of Shias in the Muslim world, which were the strongholds of the Shias. Number one was Kufa, very stronghold, very strong place for the Shias. Lot of spirit, lot of love for Ahlul-bayt, lot of wilayat for Amirul Mu'mineen. Another stronghold was Qum. By that time, people had already settled in Qum, lovers of Ahlul-bayt had settled there, and Qum was also one of the strongholds for the Shias. He says, do not take Imam Raza through these places. If these places come to meet the grandson of the Prophet, they could erupt into revolution. This could overthrow us. So instead, he's taken through other places. But Azizan, you cannot cover the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Noor-e ilahi, Noor-e Khuda cannot be covered. Wherever Imam Raza goes, people are just falling in love with him. These are Sunnis, yeah? These are not even Shias. Sunnis are falling in love left, right and center with Imam Ali Raza. Mamun asked someone, tell me about Imam Ali. Tell me about Ali ibn Musa Rida. What kind of man he is? He is told by his minister, he is such a person. Once you see him and you hear him, you fall in love with him. This is the kind of person he is. He goes from place to place and people are just madly in love with him. Oh, grandson of the Prophet, tell us something. Tell us a teaching of the Prophet. Tell us some story of the Prophet. Imagine people are so thirsty. And he tells them, and you know the famous narration is in Nishapur. When he goes to Nishapur, people are just out there in thousands of numbers. And they say, tell us one thing from the Holy Prophet. He says, I will tell you the best thing. And this is known as the hadith of Silsilatul Dhahab, golden chain of narration. The golden chain. Why? Because each and every link in this chain is an infallible, perfect Masum. Imam Raza says, I heard from my father, Imam Kazim, who heard from his father, Imam Sadiq, who heard from his father, Imam Baqi, who heard from his father, Imam Zainul Abidin, who heard from his father, Sayyidul Shuhada, who heard from his father, the illustrious Amirul Mu'mineen, who heard from Rasulullah, who heard from Jibreel, who heard from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Each and every link in the chain is a Masum. Mawla, what is this hadith you want to tell us? What is this golden chain of hadith? Kalimatul la ilaha illallah hisni. Imam Raza says, Allah declares that the phrase La ilaha illallah, in other words, someone who accepts my tawheed, this is my fortress, this is my safe place. فَمَنْ دَخَلَ حِسْنِ أَمِنَ مِنْ عَذَابِ, whoever enters into my tawheed is safe. He will not face my punishment. He'll be safe from my punishment. But, Imam Raza alayhi salam stops here. He says, it will be safe from my punishment. He walks a few paces and then he says, but, this has conditions. وَأَنَا مِن شُرُوتِهَا. I am one of those conditions. Don't think you can accept Tawheed without the wilayat of Ali Muhammad. Don't think you can accept Tawheed without the wilayat of Amirul Mu'mineen, with the risalat of the Prophet. These all are necessary for you to qualify for this entry into Tawheed. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Imam Raza alayhi salam continues his journey. He reaches this place called Marv. This is in 201 AH. As he reaches Marv, he writes a letter. His letter is addressed to his family who are still in Medina. He tells the messenger, take this letter without delay, go quickly to Medina, don't tarry, don't delay, go straight to my house and hand this to one of my family members. The letter is delivered as per the instructions. The letter is given. What does the letter say? It says, your brother Ali ibn Musa Rida, I am at such and such a place. My instruction is now you all pack your bags and come to meet me. All my family members should now come and move over here and come to meet me. This is why, Azizan, you find so many Sadat in these areas of Iran. Why? Because they had traveled there, some settled there, some spread there. You go to the holy city of Qum, honestly, I'm not joking, gali gali mein, you will find some kind of ziyarat of some awlad of the Imams. You will find some ziyarat gah, some markad, some grave, some small shrine. Gali ke andar, you'll find that there are shrines of the children or grandchildren of 7th Imam, Imam Musa Kazim alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. So this group of Ahlul-bayt now, the family of Imam Raza, they leave Medina. They say, history says there were two caravans, kafilas. One very large one, the figure quoted is 12,000 people, so no small number, 12,000 people. And another small one, the figure quoted again is 23 people. Hazrat Masuma was in the second one, the smaller one. These two caravans now leave and they head towards Imam Raza. They reach a place called Saweh, S-A-W-E-H, Saweh. Now when they reach that place, unfortunately, that place was a place of enmity for Ahlul-bayt alayhimus salam. So where you had Qom nearby, which was a stronghold, you had places which were very much against Ahlul-bayt. When they reach Saweh, there's an ambush, there's a big attack. Many are killed, some are captured. In this whole chaotic incident, somehow poison enters into the food of Bibi Masuma. Someone, somewhere, somehow managed to poison her through her food in this whole chaotic thing. Maybe this person infiltrated, maybe this person was like a spy or a mole or something, God knows. But somehow the food of Bibi Masuma got poisoned and she began to feel the effects after eating that food. When she realizes that her health is now suffering, she's becoming more and more ill, the poison is affecting her, she asks a question. She asks, tell me, how far is the city of Qum? In other words, take me to Qum. I yearn for Qum. I want to go to Qum. She's told it is about 60 kilometers, 10 farsakhs. So she now begins the movement towards Qum. She is now being taken to Qum. The people of Qum hear this. They hear that this great daughter of Imam Musa Kazim is coming to our city. They welcome her with so much keenness and motivation, shan or shokat. They in our language, they roll out the red carpet for her. People are ready to receive her. She arrives. Now the person in Qum who really took care of her, and his name is now in history, because honestly, servants of Ahlul-bayt alayhimus salam, history doesn't forget them. True servants, true people who dedicate themselves, dedicate their wealth and time and effort for Ahlul-bayt, history does not forget them. His name was Musa ibn Khazraj. This man was a noble man. He was wealthy. He receives her. And it is said that he showed such respect to her that he even held the reins of her horse or her mount as she entered the city. He housed her in his own house and he gave her a special place. Now this place exists till today. You go to Qum, you will find this place. It exists till today. It is the place where she spent her last days in Ibadat. And that place is known as Baytun Nur, the house of light. This is where she spent her final days in Ibadat. 17 days, it is said, that she spent in this way. Her health was deteriorating, the poison was having more and more impact, and then she finally passes away in Qum. Now, her titles. So after 17 days, she lives in Qum, she does her ibadat there, she stays there. People try their ilaj, they try to give her medicine and call experts, but nothing was working. It was understood that her life is now coming to an end. Now her titles. two titles which really stand out for her. Number one is Masuma. She's known actually more by this title than her actual name, which is Fatima. This title was given to her by her brother Imam Raza. And then we have another title. Now this title is very interesting. If you go to Qum, for example, you'll hear when they announce and when they address and when they refer to her, they will say Karimaya Ahlul-bayt. Karima of the Ahlul-bayt. Her title, one of her titles, is that she is the Karima, meaning very kind, very noble, very dignified. Karima of Ahlul-bayt. Now where has this title come from? Because we don't find it in Hadith. We don't find it in any of the sayings of the Imams. So where has this title come from? This title, you may have heard this name, Ayatullah Mar'ashi Najafi, Rahmatullah alayh. He has that big, huge library in Qum. Those of you who have been to Qum, you must have visited that library. He has that big library and he did something unsurpassed in the Shia world. He would go hungry and thirsty, but he would save his money and he would buy these rare manuscripts and store them and keep them. And now that is a whole building or two buildings now where all of these precious Shia heritage literature is kept. Now, his father was a very, very special person. His father does a nazar, manta. He does a mannat or nazar or manta, what we say in Gujarati. For 40 days, he does a special amal, he does a special act. And his niyat, look how pure these people were, yeah? His niyat was, Khudaya, I'm doing this amal for 40 days because I want to know the true place of burial of Hazrat Fatima Zahra. Now, you know there are three possibilities. When you go to Medina, really, our heart breaks that we don't know exactly where the grave is. It's one of three possibilities. He said, I know there's three possibilities. I want to know which one of these three is really the grave of Janabi Fatima. So I'm doing a mannat, a nazar, that in 40 days I get the answer. He says, on the 40th night, I saw myself in my dream that I was standing in Jannatul Baqi. And either the 5th Imam or the 6th Imam addressed me. So I saw either Imam Muhammad Baqir or Imam Jafar Sadiq, and they addressed me. And I said to them, Mawla, I want to know the location of the grave of your grandmother. And they said, in that case, go to Karima of Ahlul-bayt. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. They said, go to Karima of Ahlul Bayt. Karima is female. Karim is male. Karima is female. So he says, when they said Karima of Ahlul Bayt, I thought they meant Hazrat Fatima, daughter of Rasulullah, Bibi Fatima. I said, yes, Mawla, that is what I want. I want to go to the grave of Bibi Fatima, but I don't know where it is. And they said, no. The location of the grave of Janabi Fatima is a secret of Allah which He doesn't want anyone to know. That you can't know. Leave that. That is a secret of Allah. We are telling you to go to Karima of Ahlul Bayt, Fatima Masuma in Qum. If you want to do the true ziyarat of Bibi Fatima Zahra, then the next best thing is you go to the grave of Bibi Fatima Masuma in Qum. In other words, look how special she is, that she is the next best thing. When you don't know the grave of Fatima Zahra, you go to the grave of Bibi Fatima of Qum. And then he does that. He goes to Qum, and then they settle their whole family in Qum. And Ayatollah Mar'ashi actually references this in his life. He says, the reason we moved from Iraq to Qum is because of this dream of my father. This was one of the key reasons that we uprooted our whole family and we came to Qum. And then the barakat of this great man, you can see how many books and libraries and students and researches and teachings and how Honestly, he was such a special personality. One day, inshallah, we'll talk about him more and how special he was. You know, one of the things about him, this Ayatollah Mar'ashi Najfi, they say that when he was passing away in his last days, they said to him, Agha, we have reserved for you a grave in the haram of Bibi Masuma. And he said, no, bury me in my library. And they said, Agha, why? He said, because I want to hear the footsteps of the students coming to read the books which I have gathered in my library. How humble, simple, beautiful characters these were. Bibi Masuma, she passes away. The same Musa ibn Khazraj which I mentioned, he dedicates a land for her. He owned that whole area that that we know now as the Haram area. He dedicates that for her burial. And he says, I'm doing waqf of this land for the lovers of Amirul Mu'mineen. So imagine till today how many people are there doing ziyarat, Quran, namaz, Hawza studies, research, learning, teaching, amal, dua kumail, namaz-e-jamaat, all of that going to the sawab, inshallah, of that same Musa ibn Khazraj who donated. Imagine. So he says, I'm donating this land. They do her ghusl janaza, the kafan. She's brought for burial. Now, at the time of burial, who is now going to have the honor of performing the final rites? So they asked one of the elders of the community. They said, look, you come forward, you do it. You're the elder of the community, you do it. As he's preparing to do these things, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, two riders appear with their faces covered. And they arrive and they say, we will do it. And they perform the namaz, they lower the body into the grave, they do all of the different things. Who were these people? We assume, the ulama say, one of them we assume would be Imam Raza alayhi salam himself coming to attend to the funeral of his sister. The other person, we don't know, maybe one of the ashab of Imam Raza alayhi salam. They come, they perform the funeral and they go away. What izzat and honor of the burial of Bibi Masuma, that she had her brother, that she had the people of Qum, that the place was donated for her, that today it is a haram. I want to take you back to Medina and to the burial of Bibi Fatima. Compare the burial of Bibi Masuma to the burial of Bibi Fatima. Here the town is in attendance, the town is giving their respects, the town is praying for this mayat, for this janaza. And what about Bibi Fatima? She says to Amirul Mu'mineen, Ya Abul Hasan, kafinni bil-layl, wa dafinni bil-layl. Oh Amirul Mu'mineen, you are to do my kafan at night, my dafan at night. People should not attend my burial. These people of Medina have hurt me. They have taken my right of fadak. They have beaten me in the streets. They have pushed the door upon me. They have killed my mohsin in my womb. They denied your right. When I wanted to cry, they say Fatima cries too much in the daytime. Tell her to cry at night. When I cry at night, they say she cries too much in the night. Tell her to cry in the day. Amirul Mu'mineen lowers the body of Fatima into the grave. He addresses Rasulullah. He says, O Prophet of God, O Prophet of Allah, now your daughter is the amanat which you had given me. I am returning her back to you. But this is not the same Fatima which you had given me. This Fatima is bruised. Her ribs are broken. Her heart is broken. Allah la'natullah al-qawm al-zalimin. Matame Hussein.
مومنو لو فاطمہ کو